everyone, welcome to the Art Workshop. I'm Christopher Epling. Thank you so much for tuning in. Pike TV really, and I appreciate your viewership so much. Now, this workshop is not about me. It's not about what I'm doing. It's not about anything to deal with that. This workshop is about us coming together, learning a little bit about art, drawing, techniques, also different types of art that you can actually work with in terms of medium. So your medium is what you use to create art with, right? Today we have a very special medium that we want to share with you. Now before we do that, I want to be very clear on something. Today's medium is dangerous, okay? And it's not something that is necessarily dangerous to work with, but it can be. Just like with anything, when you use, like maybe you go and use a chainsaw, you want to be careful, right? Or anytime you're working with something that you could become injured, you need to be careful. So it's really important for us to discuss this at first. We're going to be using a medium today, a wood burning medium. Now that's a very hot element. The device itself that you draw with is plugged in, and by electrical current becomes very hot. And the tip of this device burns wood. It can also burn skin. It can also catch something on fire. So if you have one of these devices, please use it with caution. And if you follow along with us in any way today, be careful. Parental supervision always, and follow every proper safety tip you can when working with a wood burner, okay? Let's take a look at actually what this looks like. Now the wood burner itself looks like a pen. It's a little bit awkward having a long cord attached to it, but that's just part of it. Then of course we have our wood, and the wood is very important too. Now we do not endorse any brand here on the Art Workshop, but we do have to use some, so this is one example. It comes in plastic. Now you could do what I do too, and cut your own wood, save some money that way, but if you don't have access to a table saw or some mechanism that could cut wood easily, then you have to go purchase some, right? So we need a nice piece of wood to start with. Now you also need the wood burner itself. Okay, the wood burner is very hot. I have it turned up to the maximum level. There is a switch on this cord that regulates the temperature. A pen to draw with, that's a good idea always, with an eraser. And then these are different tips that you can put onto your wood burner. Now here's another safety tip that we're going to use. We may have a few of these throughout the show. Whenever you're using it and it's turned on, that tip is very hot. So when you go to actually change the tips out, you have to wait for that tip to cool down. Some people will take pliers and with it already hot, turn it off. That's a bad idea. Don't do that. You could get burnt very easily doing that. So wait until that tip cools all the way down and then change out your tips after that's happened, okay? That's the first safety tip of this episode. Besides, don't let your wood burner touch fabric, yourself, skin, animals, or anything else around you that could, be hurt or damaged. Okay, so I'm going to be using this piece here, and Hillbilly Days is coming up soon, which is a very, 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 very popular event right here in Eastern Kentucky. We're all excited about it. A lot of tourism comes in for the event. We all come together and celebrate our culture. We poke fun at ourselves a little bit, which is fine. I think it's always a good idea to remember with stereotypes that when you glorify stereotype, you embrace it, it's a bad thing. But whenever you say, hey, look, this is what, this is kind of like some people make a joke about this and we're going to laugh with you, then that's fun. And you get to eat what? Gyro burgers or gyro, or however you say it, and a lot of funnel cakes. So it's a great opportunity to do that. All right, so also with this device, you have a cutter. Now this is something that's really, 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 really sharp, right? Like an X-Acto knife. So when you put this on the end, it becomes hot and you can cut through things like a warm knife in butter. So be careful when you use these tips. Each one of these do something different to the wood. See, the whole point of this is that the texture of whatever tip you're using or the shape of it will give you different looks to what you're wanting to do, such as this one. This is a flat, look how fat this is. A flat head, which actually screws on. So when you go down to burn it, it makes really, really, really broad marks, right? Now the one we're using today is similar to this one here. It's a very small tip. It's sharp on one end and sort of blunt on the other. You can maneuver it to actually make different shapes and designs. Before you start actually doing anything to your wood, you do want to be sure and keep your tool away from you so you don't get burnt. And then also, whenever you go to use it, be sure to hold it in the proper way too, which we'll discuss in a moment. But before you ever get started, we need to figure out what we're going to be drawing. So in celebration of Hillbilly Days, I thought we'd do a little funny little pig. You know, there's a ongoing, I don't know if it's a myth or if it's a fact, probably a fact, knowing is that the Hillbilly Days is, you know, kind of popularized even more by the Hatfield-McCoy feud. And in that feud, one of the, I don't know if it's a legend or if it's truth. I think it is truth, though. I went over to the Big Sandy Heritage Museum recently and talked to Everett Johnson, the curator there. If you haven't been there, I highly recommend going. It's right here in the old courthouse in Pikeville. I went over and talked to him recently. It's been a little bit back about the Octavia Hatcher story. But anyway, while I was there, he did mention to me the story of the Hatfield-McCoys and that, yeah, the feud started over one of the relatives stealing a pig from the other family. So we're going to be using the pig here as our symbol for Hillbilly Days. And as you can see, I'm sort of sketching out the ears a little bit. You can't really see that well, but you want to draw what you're going to be burning before you ever get started actually doing it. So up here's the ears, come down a little bit. I'll put some eyes in here. I'll make this a cute little pig. You know, he's a little pig that's just happy to be around, right? And his little nose right here in the middle, but right there. You'll sketch this out on the wood. When you go to burn this, you can actually follow the lines that you made for yourself, right? So that can be really helpful. There's his nostrils. We'll make one nostril a little bit bigger than the other. You can kind of see how the pig's looking. Let me darken it in a little bit. That way you can see a little better. The pig's head here, here. Here's some eyes. There we go. We got the shape of the body coming down this way. Now sometimes when you're drawing on grain, it's the pencil wants to follow the texture of the grain. It can make it a little difficult to draw on. Here's the back legs. Down here we got two little legs just sticking down. And then right here we'll draw the pig's feet, hooves right there. And then it's a little belly. And then down here, of course, we have the other two feet on this side and on this side. So now we have a little pig. Oh, wait a minute. We're not done yet. Let's finish the nose out. Up and down like that. Now let's put a couple little lines to represent pig's cheeks. Boom, we have a little pig, right? For Hillbilly Days. Now let's put a little I don't know, tie on him. There's a little tie. I don't know why, but it's a Hillbilly Days tie. Sometimes you'll see some of the people that dress up Hillbilly Days, they'll wear a tie with overalls, right? So that's kind of funny. So we're not going to put overalls on our pig, but what we are going to do, we're going to put a little hat up here on him. So we'll have this little hat kind of coming down like this. This is a Hillbilly Days hat. And I know you've seen these hats before. If you've ever been to Hillbilly Days, you know the typical hat that is worn around a lot. It's fashioned after the older hats that were around back in the era of the Hatfield-McCoys. It's a rancher-style hat, plantation hat, I think they call it. So it goes up like this, and then sort of down on the back here, and down this way, right? And of course, let's give him a button up here, a couple of buttons for Hillbilly Days. This pig has been to Hillbilly Days a few times. He loves Hillbilly Days, and he's looking forward to this year's Hillbilly Days too. There we go. And then, you know, over here to the side, just for fun, let's put a little moonshine bottle, right? Because we all know hillbillies love moonshine. It's a little bit here, it comes up, just like that, and then we'll put the little head on it there, and then let's put a couple X's, of course, around the bottom. There we go. Okay, we have us a little pig just for Hillbilly Days. Now, we're not writing Hillbilly Days anywhere on here, but when you go to Hillbilly Days, there's a lot of things to do. There's food, there's attractions, there's rides, there's things you can, purchase. One of the things you can purchase is, crafts. So this would be considered a craft. Now, if I would have made 35 of these, I could get a booth at Hillbilly Days, and maybe some people will want to buy them, right? Because, they're images that are connected to the event, and that's something that people like to hold on to. So now, after I've drawn out what I'm going to be creating, now I can actually go to use this burner. Now, remember, the burner does come with a stand. Most of them do. That's what this little thing is here. This is what you place it on in between drawing to keep it from burning you. Now, when you hold it, be sure always never to go below this piece. So if you're just tuning in and you're not sure what we're doing, we're using a wood burner, which is very dangerous. So if you do this at home, use extreme caution. I want to say that again, extreme caution. If you're a child, Don't go plugging in your parents' wood burner. Have parental supervision. Ask them if you can use it, and they can explain to you all these safety tips again. And it's best to do that. Now, if you notice on the wood burner, if you can see it, I want to tilt it just right. There you go. See the light? So this tip is flat on one side, and when you turn it, it's beveled so that it becomes sharp, and it's at an angle. Okay? So it looks something like this. You can't really see it at home, so let me sketch it out for you. So here's the tip. There we go. So you have this tip up here that can do small lines, and then you have this really, really blunt surface here that can do larger coloring in of things. Then of course here's the actual burner itself down here, right? All right, that's what we're working with, and that's the tip that I suggest you use if you're going to do this. It's very hot. I can already feel it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to trace my lines now. I'm just going to go around the pig, and you can see when I start to do this, the color of the wood will change, and that's okay. That's what we want. We want it to burn into the wood, right? But it's really hard though to get really, really, really straight lines with the wood burner. My lines always come out really, sometimes just very crooked. I may have to turn the whatever I'm working on in a certain angle, and that way I can get nice big thick lines. So here we go. Work on the hat first. Right, coming around. How you tilt this matters. As you can see now, I have a nice line there. But how you tilt this really matters in order to get whatever look you're looking for. Up on this side. Over here we have this piece coming up this way. All right, now we're going to keep going. The ear, of course, want to come down to the ear on each side, just like that. And up top, up, around, down, just like that. That makes the hat. Now we want to be sure to follow our lines the best we can. This can be a little tricky. Learning how to position your burner can be very tricky sometimes. The longer you hold it down, the bigger and thicker the line is. So as you can see now, going down the side of the body, that's a pretty thick line, right? So same thing over here. I'm going to do this because it's a very thick line. I'm going to skip over a little bit where the tie is and cause the line to come down a little more. There we go. Now let's work on the back leg using just the tip of the burner. All right, you can see right there how it kind of, sometimes it's good, you got to twist whatever we're working on around to get it to actually, flow right. It's challenging, but I don't have a lot of practice doing it, but I've been using it for a little bit. Let's go around this way now. Down, just like that. So now we have the two legs, and now let's work on these little legs here. Down. Just like this, and on this side too. Just like that. And you got to do, certain areas pretty slow, because if you rush it, you definitely will not get what you're wanting in terms of the line you're looking for. So you have to be careful. Now, folks make these and sell these. I've seen a lot of different variations of wood burning art at Hillbilly Days, and I love to go to the crafts personally. I like to see, not necessarily like, I respect quilting a lot. I mean, that is a skill that is unbelievably hard in my opinion. It's people have different skills, I believe. Some people may be good at quilting or music or whatever, and then some people maybe like to draw. So whatever your talent is, that's awesome. Now, if you've created something though in terms of art at home and you'd like to share it with us, we would love to brag about you right here on the show. And how you can do that is you can send your work to me at piketv99@gmail.com. And what that does is it gets us your artwork. So maybe if you have a grandson even at home who draws a lot and is super talented, or a granddaughter at home who's really, really, really talented at maybe whatever, watercolor or pencil or pen and ink. Doesn't matter. We want to see everything and anything. So send in your work as soon as you can, and please also include your name and your age in there too. If you're sending it in for someone, be sure and have that included for them, okay? Now we're going to put our little tie on our pig, and as you can see, it kind of swerves down a little bit. We got some different shapes going on. Now for the thickness of this part, all I'm going to do is lay the flat part down on each side just to get kind of like an arrow, or not an arrow, but a pyramid type shape. I cannot even think of what it is right now. Yeah, so we want to go down this way and get the shape of the tie here. Now if you push down too hard in the wood, what starts to happen is your wood burner will actually slow down, okay? Because it actually goes deeper than you want, and it starts to go deep instead of across the wood. And when that happens, it's hard to pull it back, and so you got to be careful. You want to just barely graze it. Holding the wood too is another safety tip. You're holding the wood and you're drawing. You could slip and go into your hand. They make devices that will actually serve like a block like this. It's a piece of wood this way and then a piece of wood down my arm like this, and you put it up in the corner like that, and it holds it for you. So if you can get access to something like that, please use it, because if you slip and this goes into your hand, you can see how easy it's burning this wood. So you can only imagine what it might do to skin, right? Don't want to even think about that, right? All right, let's go up this way a little bit now. Get the foot. Make sure you get that line nice and straight. Usually now for this, I would probably use a different, if I was creating this perhaps maybe to take and sell, for instance, which, maybe no one would buy this, but if let's say I was going to try, okay, I would use a different size tip to my wood burner, okay? I really would. This tip is good, but I would use a different size. This tip, though, we chose because you got to be able to see it at home, right? So the lines that I make have to be thick enough that you can see, and so we want to be sure and do that. So that's sort of an awkward and difficult tip to use, really, but it's working out okay. We're going to keep going and try to do the best we can here, just following all the lines that we made pretty much. Now I'm just touching it down. I'm not doing anything besides just touching it down. This has an angle to it, so we want to be sure and get that angle for the ears here. Goes down to the tip right there on that side, and then over here as well. So when you got an angle like this that comes up and down, you move slow and deliberate, and you can get the nice line that way. And right here is a tricky part. This part comes up into that. You see how I bent the wood burner as I went along, and the tip of the ear comes down like this. So there's one ear, and let's work on the other. I'm going to turn it around this way. There we go. I can bring this up like this. See how it twists up. And then we're going to go back down this way. Yeah, there we go. Straight down to the tip down here. And seal it off. There we go. We have the ears done. Now let's work on the eyes. Now the eyes are a little difficult. You want to go slow and burn into it, because you've got to make these little oval shapes. So I put the tip of my burner down, and I start to just press down like I'm poking at something, and I do that a lot. So in art, this is called pointillism. Okay, this is where you're making small dots in order to form a shape, and that's what we're kind of doing here. We're just using small dots to make his eye, right? We're gonna do the small dots again on this side. Make the eye of the pig here, just so. Real slow, nothing, not speeding up here. We're not trying to rush it, because if you rush it, you will make a mistake. And unlike working with paper, it's hard to erase. You can't really, so you can't erase it all. Once you make a mistake here, it's done, you're done, you made a mistake. Happy accidents, as Bob Ross used to put it. Well, when you're with wood burning, it's more than an accident. All right, so now we can go ahead and put the top of his nose here. There's a little line right here, small line. Although Bob Ross probably would not get upset either way, honestly. He was such a chill guy, right? It wouldn't really matter. Now we're going to work on the nose. Now to form that, we need to make this line going across from the one cheek to the other cheek. We need to seal it off right there. Okay. Now at the top here, same thing. Now some of these tools would be better for some of these shapes we're doing. I'm doing it all with one tip, but you can use, say, this little beveled top piece here, and you could lay it down flat, and you could get some really nice shadow, which is something we're going to do just in a minute with our device as well. You can actually create the illusion of there being shadow in with your wood burning. Here's his nose, all right, and we've got these circles inside of his nose we need to work on. So using the tip of our burner, do the points again, really slow. Now this nostril, as I drew it, it was a little bit smaller than the other one. So I'm just going to put dots going this way. And we got the larger one here now. This is where I can push down a little bit harder each time I touch it down. A little bit harder each time, see? And, you know, working with the wood burner is just like working with, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, just drawing on paper. Yes, it's a little more awkward. And yes, also, like I said, if you make a mistake, you're in trouble. But if you're just tuning in right now, we're using a wood burner. And we've drawn a little pig in celebration of Hillbilly Days onto this piece of wood. And we're using our wood burner now to go in and create all the lines. Now let's go down and focus on this little moonshine bottle. Now for this, what I'm going to do, I'll put a straight line going across the top right here. You just hold down a little bit and it will form it for you. Okay, now we're going to do the side of the bottle coming up this way. And I'm just touching down to get that curve. And now I'm going straight up because I want that nice, solid, even line. And now I'm going to bring it in up here. Form the neck of the bottle here. Going all the way up to the top, just like that. Right? Okay, now we're going to go on this side. Form this side of the neck. Coming down. All the way down. 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 Okay, great. So now we got the formation of this moonshine bottle. Okay. And now we're going to work on the main tip up here and just use the tip of your burner and very slowly touch it down, not in points, but just making a line, because we just want to make this tip up here very, 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 very subtle. This doesn't need to be real thick, okay? So I am pushing it down sort of like we did earlier, but not as much, just very small. And I'm moving it very slow. And believe it or not, when this wood burner gets going, when it starts cutting like we have, it gets hot. Like I can already feel the heat coming up into here. So you need to be careful at home. I really stress this. This is a dangerous medium, but you know, just be careful. As long as you're careful, you know, you'll be fine. Accidents, sure, accidents happen, but you sure limit the possibility of that when you just take proper safety concerns. We got the handle here of the moonshine bottle. You'll be able to see it shortly. It's coming down and in. I made it a little bit different than what I drew it because I have to take into account for what's happening with the tip here I chose to draw it with. Now I'm going to put a little line here to represent the handle a little more, like that. And you can really smell the smoke too. If you're here, you can smell it coming up. So let's just hope that the fire alarm doesn't kick off and all the sprinklers start coming down, because that would make a really interesting show. Now we got the little blades of grass over here we can work on. I'm just pushing down with the tip of my burner and then making the lines come in like this. See? Nothing too crazy. This one right here could be a really tall blade of grass maybe, or weed. Down like this. Now make this pointed at the end. triangle. That was what I was thinking of earlier. My goodness, why couldn't I think of the word triangle? So we got a few blades of grass popping up. Now if you get really, really, really smooth at it, which I'm not, but I'm trying, you can draw these without having to go very slow. You can actually go really fast with it. And we can put the ground coming down like this in the background like that. And we'll do the same over here on this side. So it looks like he's setting maybe on a little knoll on a hill, right? Now we got to work on his hat. So he's got a few pieces up here that are some of the buttons he's received from Hillbilly Days. And we're going to very slowly, with the very, very tip of our burner, start to go around in an oval for this, right? And it's almost like you're scratching with the burner. You can hear it maybe a little bit. That's all we're doing. And then as you're scratching, you're starting to press down a little bit then as well, like this. Okay. Now, there we go. We got one of them done. And now the next thing we need to do is one more here. Now the really neat thing is that once you're finished with all this, you can actually go back and you can erase all of your pencil lines. And you can see all the nice lines that you've made just with the burner. Now see, I really could use a real small tip right now because these little buttons are so small. But we're going to work with what we got. It'll be okay. There we go. There we go. Going down this side here. There we go. Good enough right there. Okay? All right, great. Now we need to get our X's. We should be able to do these really easy. Just a straight line. That way, straight line this way. See there? How neat is that? Pop it right in. One more. One more this way. Let's do another one. There we go. That represents the moonshine bottle or jug. And it's got the bottom part here. Now we have our pig, right? So before we end, though, I need to darken in for his hooves or his feet. So I lay it flat on its side here, just like this. And I start making these motions almost like I'm coloring. This is the cool part about wood burning. This whole time we've been building up to this part. We're almost done with the show. So just bear with me. So see how I've turned this on its side now? And you can actually darken in whole areas. So, for instance, this hoof, turn it flat. Use that beveled side of the burner. There we go. Now we're doing it. So we get that look like that. See? And you can actually color in. And you can color not. Yes, it's not really coloring, but it is darkening in shadow, which gives us the impression of there being color there. Same for this one over here. Just push it down on the side just like that. There we go. Now, we can work on certain things in the background. So we could turn this on its side here. And we really want our pig to stand out, don't we? So turning it on its side, you can make these marks going all the way around the pig like this. And you can see now how this starts to work. The pig starts to really stand out against the back lightness of the wood here, right? You just go around in a circle, darkening in these areas. And this should really enhance the visibility of the pig too when we go around it like this. So you can see how this starts to work. So the pig stands out. Just put it on its side, put your tool on its side, and move out from the pig, right? You get a lot of smoke from this. So we're going to do the same up here. Keep going out. A little bit here, a little bit here. So our goal is, though, just to make the pig stand out a little more. Now once you've done that, you can start on the edges of your drawing and pull out, or the wood, and pull out from there too. Let's go ahead and do this other side real fast before we close up. So it's just turn your tool on the side and pull out. Some of these lines are going to look a little different than others. That's okay. The thing about wood burning is every single line you make is going to be different. Go out like this. There we go. Remember now, we use extreme caution when you're doing this at home. because you can get hurt doing this. There's no doubt about it. Let's put a little shadow up here in the front. Still down the side. I wish I could use some different tools. We had time to let the tools cool down, but you can kind of see the effect that you can get using the different tools. So, well, since we have a little more time left, I'm going to go around the edges here too. Just darken in this part as well, and over here, because I really want the drawing to stand out, you know, against everything else. I want the pig to stand out. The wood just enhances our drawing, right? There we go. Or maybe our drawing enhances the wood. I'm not sure. Now you can go as far as going on the outside ring all around the edge of your drawing and pull in some color going in towards your art. That's okay to do too. And if you get kind of good at this, you can go sort of fast with it. And what this does, it just adds a little more features to your creation here. You know, you can make it so that it all comes together nicely, all around the edges. And you'd make these marks, continually making these marks in towards the pig, just like this. And this might take a little bit to do this. What I'll do is I will speed, I don't really draw, but speed carve through this process, and at the end I'll show you the finished product. But this is all you're doing. You're just pulling in, coming in towards the pig from the outside. All right, here we go. Okay, so we've carved out what we could, or burned out, I should say. Now I'm going back over, and I've got to get rid of all these pencil lines that I made, because those really fool the eye because there's nothing there, but it seems like there's something there. So getting rid of these pencil lines. I put a lot of dark shading, burning behind the pig, so that the pig stood out, right? So you could see it better. That was a decision that I made here at the end, just to kind of help with things. Now I'm not the best at wood burning at all. In fact, I've only done it a couple of times, but if you practice at it, you'll get better at it, of course, and it's something that I definitely need practice at. But as you can see, our little pig here now is ready for hillbilly days. We could have probably shaded the tie a little bit. Now there's also this that I created recently. This is a Men in Black. You know anything about Men in Black, but I carved this out, and then also I used stain around it, so all of this is stain. So as you can see, wood carving is something that you practice and practice and practice at, just like with anything. But we have this little wooden plaque of a pig for hillbilly days, and you can on the back put your name, or you can do initials. Maybe if it's, see if it's actually still hot enough. No, I can't, but maybe I'll do it with a pen. Always sign your work. That's real important to do, okay? So thank you so much for tuning in today. Again, if you have any artwork, send it in to us, PikeTV99@gmail.com, and we'll show it here on the show and brag about your work. If you have a granddaughter or a grandson or son or daughter that you want to share their work with, or maybe they're too young to email, send it to us. Everyone, though, includes your name, your age. If you want to tell us where you are in the viewing area, or if you've watched this on YouTube, maybe. Maybe you're not from around here at all, but you've watched the art workshop on YouTube. Still, let us know about it. We've had submissions from all over the place, you wouldn't believe. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm Christopher Epling on behalf of Pike TV. Until next time, keep drawing.